Actually got to go out and play golf at my old Kentucky home, and we got some builds to talk about, and it's hot outside. Next on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here, and why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I am no different. It's about what's in my drawers in my shop. This is where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, and golf club fittings, all so your scores can go low. If you would, like, subscribe, hit that stuff across the bottom. All right, that way more of this information gets out to the YouTube universe. And then, again, I will ask you guys, for those of you that are interested in a golf-centric whiskey channel, I have started another channel called Pars and Pours. So while we're here, if you want to go over there and see I've only put out 2 videos. They're getting better as when I go. I've got another one coming. And if you would, let's see, grow that subscribership just like we're growing this one here. Okay, so onward and upward. Number one, it is freaking hot. All right, in my truck it said 104. And I'm in southern Ohio. Now, we know that there's a heat wave going around in the larger part of the United States. I think on average, we average around 99 today. That's still hot. And the reason why it's massively hot is because we didn't ease into it. It just showed up, right? It was awful. We went from 70s and rain. There's going, man, I wish it stopped raining. Well, it sure did. It stopped raining. And it jumped up about 20 to 25 degrees, and that is a lot of change for people to take in. And that was the day Bob and I started golfing. It started off nice and cool, and then about halfway through the day, and it took straight off. And at the end of the day, we're just wore plumb out. And so that's what it is. So if you guys are in that particular area of the United States that's just getting absolutely bombarded by this heat wave, number one, drink plenty of fluids, water, Gatorade, or something equivalent, right? There are industrialized or squinchers. You can do Powerade, something with an electrolyte in it. Some people don't take the salt. That's an old home remedy. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it in large quantities, to be sure. Stay indoors as much as you possibly can. If you have to go out, wear light-colored clothing. And make sure you use sunscreen so you don't have to deal with skin cancer, much like I have in my line of work, so that you don't have to experience what I experienced. So stay cool, stay frosty, my friends. Okay, the other one is, as far as work that we've got done, we did do a bit of work before leaving on our vacation, but this is one of the last ones we've got right here. This is for a customer. I won't say short, but he's not exactly tall. Getting started into the game, wanted something that would help him out, and turns out this particular club actually did a pretty good job. This is the Mizuno STZ, right? Is the neutral driver. Got it set at 10.5, and we're using the VRTX Project X in the 70-gram S Flex. He had a very strong release. A very, very strong release, as a matter of fact, and we're using the Golf Pride. Let me get it the right way. The Golf Pride CP2 wrap. So you got the blue on the blue on the blue. Man, almost like we actually did that on purpose, and I guarantee you we did not. So that is going to be one heck of a good-looking driver in the bag, and as it gets him started, I think that's going to be a heck of a driver to get him started as well. Did a series of repairs this week. It was more of a re-gripping fest than it was anything else. However, while we're in the weekend, we got a lot of stuff delivered, so I got a lot of building to do when we get done with all of this. Okay. Next is for Charlie. Since it's so hot out, I ended up going with an old-fashioned using Buffalo Trace, and I got the Monster Ice Cube in it. Got to keep something going. So you guys got to let me know, too. I've got a fan set probably 10 foot away, and it's just blowing this direction. So if you hear kind of a whoosh sound, let me know, and I'll go turn it off. All righty, so back to it. My old Kentucky home. I'm gonna play this video for you. It's literally less than 2 minutes long, and then we'll expound on it. So let's get going. No review of this golf course would be complete without a little review of the Old Kentucky home history. In 1818, John Rowan Sr., a politician, a career politician, had this property constructed, and they named it Federal Hill after the Federalist Party that he was part of. Now, once it was completed in 1841, the third floor caught on fire. However, he had it totally rebuilt to spec, and the same thing it was done with it, or to the same specs. In 1923, on 4th of July, Federal Hill became the first Kentucky State Park, and it was named My Kentucky Home, after the song My Kentucky Home Goodnight, which in 1928 was made into the state song. Now, in 1933, they designed the golf course and completed it and put it into play. It was a par 71 with a course rating of 69.5 and a slope of 119, making this a really, really playable course. Has a yardage of around 62 and some change at the tips, making this playable for a lot of different people. Once rated the best place to play in Kentucky by Golf Digest, and it remains the top golf course in the Kentucky State Park program. And let's see some more of these particular pictures. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, it wasn't my Kentucky home. It was my old Kentucky home. And the funny part is I've been down to Bardstown a handful of times, and I've driven by there, but it was always in what I would call the off season, in the deep fall. And you get to see it, and it didn't look like it was going to be much. This year we drove by it, and it's just like, it was phenomenal. And it turned out to be just so. To expound on it a little bit more, it was 6245 in the website. It says 6300, close enough for government work. But you think, well, those guys at Bomb and Gouge would just tear this place up. Well, if you guys noticed, from 1933 to now, it's a pretty mature golf course, and there's a lot of foliage out there, a lot of trees, and there's not a lot of straight. There is a lot of dogleg left, a lot of dogleg right. And it's all over the map. So if you have a phenomenal control of your driver, you would probably be able to tear it up pretty good. However, most of us don't. And so hitting it somewhere in play is probably the best thing to do. I can tell you this, that Bob and I played from the number 2 tees, 1 being the back, 2 being the middle, 3 being up. And it was, you go from 62 to 58. And as you saw, I put the mini driver in play just to see how it went. And I'm here to tell you that mini driver's for real. Did I hit every ball great? No, I did not. But I hit some pretty decent shots out there. And Bob was playing one too, and he actually cut the corner on a couple. I am not certain how he pulled that thing off, but he absolutely creamed a couple in cutting it. Got some serious height. He was playing the 13 degree. I was playing the 11. And I actually hit a couple of draw/hooks that I actually took way out and brought around. Now, did I know how I was doing that? Absolutely not. But it kept me in play, right? That was the thing. It kept me in play. And most of my second shots were 9 irons or lower and into the green. So the thing that was really tearing me up is that the sand traps were in the exact spots where I would hit a driver or even a second shot. I hit almost every sand trap on this place, and so learning how to get back out was a whole nother issue. And the greens were mighty slow. And it looked as if they were prepping for something, because like here in Ohio, we got just a bunch of rain, and they did too. And this is the first string of 3, 4, 5 days where they didn't have any rain, but the heat just came in now. And if you guys know that it evaporates off, it can really hurt it. So I think they were letting it grow a little bit. They were just rolling it, and then if they were to make the greens anywhere near fast, because every one of them had an undulation and a break that was just incredible. And if you made those fast, you brought them up to, say an 11 or better, that place has teeth all of a sudden, because you got to golf your ball and know where you're turning. This is one of those courses, because of the tricks and the turns, that you go back and you can easily drop 2-3 strokes aside just knowing where to put the golf ball. And but highly recommend it. Oh my gosh, it was really nice. Bob had a good time, and he lit it up. I stayed with him on the front nine, but he just absolutely blew me away on the back, shooting a 38. I think he got into the either high 70s, low 80s, where I was just in the mid to high 80s. So he really did very, very well. So it was a neat thing, and the golf course goes right by my old Kentucky home, and there was a giant, I call it a pergola. It was a octagonal patio, and it was playing, almost sounded like church music. It was playing my old Kentucky home in that era of music, but it sounded like church organ that was playing it. And we saw a couple of a event group go by as we were out there. So there's more to see down in Bardstown other than the Bourbon Trail, although I did see that too. And it was nice. Now, we stayed at the Capitol Inn Motel. Capitol Inn Motel is not something that's going to blow your socks off. However, I do price for price, or price for bang, or if you're looking for something that it's not going to blow out your wallet and you still get a good night's sleep, that is a place I would recommend. It's reminiscent of the old 70s motels where there's 2 layers and all the doors faced inward to the parking lot, and it was in phenomenal shape. The parking lot was paved. The pool was clear and clean. The rooms had new flooring and had new furnitures and a new bed, and it slept very, very well. The water was hot, and the people were very, very nice. So that was really cool. And the last thing is a shout out. They are having a bikers meeting there, and it was called Brothers Keeper. And what it is, it's a bunch of firemen that joined a motorcycle club, and they're from all over the nation. We had some from Wyoming, Colorado, Kentucky, Michigan, that kind of stuff. And I thought that was really cool, because one of my sayings to my fire people here is be your brother's keeper. So that was kind of unique. And it was really nice. We met a few of them. They're really nice folks. So if you're interested for a full weekend, and I am not being sponsored by them, although I wish they would, the Bardstown, bourbon capital of the world, there's more places you can see in one day, or even in a weekend, I would imagine, if you planned it out. Nice places to go eat. We ate at a couple of a nice Italian pizza joint, which was worth every penny. The Talbot Inn makes a knockout place. We went on a train. Mrs. McGolf we went on a lunch train, and I had deep fried fried chicken, and she had a pot roast, and it was just, the portions were just massive, and so it was a really, really good thing to see. And it was just a really nice, very nice weekend. And there's a lot of history in Bardstown. There's a winery out there too, as if you want to see it. So again, as I'm pounding it in there, there's a great golf course to be had in the very first state park. So if you're interested in history, you got that. If you want to go through the town, there's plaques everywhere talking about what the town did, and learning about that. If you wanted not to spend a fortune on a hotel, they've got that. So it was just a really, really nice visit for the weekend, and I would highly recommend it and do it again. Okay, so we got all that. We got the stuff out of the way. Hey, we got to say, hey, Keegan Bradley, nice win. Tommy Fleetwood seemed to be in control of it for all of it until maybe the last 2 holes, but again, that's golf, and we'll let that one go. Oh, that's right. One last thing is, one of the whole reasons why we went was Mrs. McGolf wanted to go see Clay Walker. Clay Walker is a country western singer of back in the 80s and 90s, and we actually fit him here. Super duper nice guy. And I will say that he's battling MS, and he had an operation, and I guess he said they cut him tip to stern, stern to tip, tip to stern. There you go. Anyway, and he had a bunch of staples holding him together, and he stood up for one song and then sat down on a chair the rest of the night and played and sang, and he sang very, very well. And I'll tell him he's a trooper because he didn't do any extra songs at the end. However, the reason being is I watched as everybody else was leaving. There's 2-3 guys carting him off to help him walk off stage. So that's what you call one hell of a trooper to make that happen. So Clay Walker, if you're out there, I doubt you're listening, but well done, sir. It was a phenomenal concert. And I happened to run into the guy that owned the place. His name's Wally. He's just the most unassuming guy. It was really, really cool. Okay, so back to golf. Let's see what you guys got questions on. I used up my time. Let's get over here. Let's see. There's John Cherry, and he's saying from a very hot Myrtle Beach. If it is hot here, it is going to be hot down there. Holy cow! I don't even know how you get out of the thing. That was another thing. My air conditioning is working sort of. I've got my upstairs is super warm. We got to make sure that turns around. My dog Rex says thumbs up, students. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that one. Robin saying hello. Mark Nat, how you doing? Robin saying hello. Back to him. There you go. Kent saying hot is good if your course here has irrigation. We don't. Well, if it gets really hot, Kent, it's going to get irrigation whether you like it or not because it's all going to evaporate and feel horrible, which is kind of what's going on here. Now, at the local golf course where Bob cuts greens, they went to a bent grass. I finally got it right. They went to a bent grass, and this warm weather, I imagine it's just sprouting up like nobody's business. And but they still got to keep it wet so it can get its root system going. There's hello. Seeing hello back. And there's the clapping. There's Peter. What'd Peter do? Hello from Myrtle Beach. Played a Captain's Choice tournament. We shot as a team 54 and we took first. However, did lose closest to the hole twice and long drive. Too bad I hit a good drive about 280. Holy cow, Peter. That's pretty doggone good. Well done. I think I'd have taken the win as opposed to the prizes, but very good. Congrats, man. How many was on a team? There we go. Make sure you carry your GAC or pseudo-cream. Yeah, I'm telling you. I used that spray-on stuff, and I put it on twice. This weekend wasn't hot on the course. It was steamy. Humidity was ridiculous. Shot at 80 and 82. Hate the humidity in Tennessee. Well, Steven, that humidity was everywhere, brother, and it's here right now. And it was down there. And the first day it wasn't real bad. The second day it was. It was bad. And oh my. And it's bad now. And it's something else. And there doesn't look like there's going to be any relief getting into the 4th of July week. Although there's a chance of rain, but it's still going to be in the high 80s, low 90s, which is just going to make it just that bad. So we're going to see what happens. Max Ward. Hello from a hot and now cool and wet Wisconsin. So my sister lives in Wisconsin, right there at the Chicago border, and she chases her kids around. One plays lacrosse, and the other one does softball. And the lacrosse kids apparently were out in it. And as well as Hot Wired knows, when it gets up into the 80s or 90s, that's like 100 degrees for the rest of us because Wisconsin is not known for being a warm climate state. And those guys running around, I saw a picture afterwards. There were some kids looking pretty ragged when it was all said and done. But that's the reason why they're kids, right? And so it was tough. It was tough on them. They're still, and my sister was just bitching a blue streak about how it was hot. And it, and there everybody was getting it too, right? All that hot and steamy stuff. Let's find out. Better, loving the irons. Glad to hear it, buddy. Glad to hear it. Do the thumbs up, guys, please. I appreciate that. And I'm going to piggyback on it again. Again, if you guys, I'm just trying to start it out, and I'm kind of trying to leapfrog it from this channel to the other one. It's called Pars and Pours, and it's literally going to have golf in it. And we're going to be doing some of the old Kentucky home versus the stuff I went to, and make it there. Eventually, what I want to do is play golf with some of the folks from the distillery, and kind of have a half and half on it. But we'll get there. Jim, they just opened a new bourbon hotspot. Uh-oh, down there. That's going to be something. We'll have to check that one out for sure. You'll like this one, Peter. The first place we stopped at is called Larrikin, and Larrikin is a veteran-owned distillery, and it's from ex-Navy people. And this guy was an ex-Australian Navy guy that joined the U.S. military, and he had some help from Bob Dole to make that happen, but got out as lieutenant commander from both of them. So he must have done pretty good. His wife is now an officer, and she is in D.C. currently at the local hospital. So they're both really nice folks, and they make a pretty mean bourbon too. Hello, Peter. All right. It would have been nice if you could have placed markers where you're hitting out of your pictures and tee bushes. On a couple of them. The funny part with that mini driver, Peter, I really wasn't out of bounds per se. I actually was able to keep it in play. That wasn't what was giving me grief as it was down in Myrtle Beach. I was actually getting off the tee pretty decent. It was my second shot, or literally getting out of the sand. I was priding myself on not very many 3-putts up until I played here, because the greens were massively slow, as Bob could contend with, or he'll agree with me. And I bet I had five 3-putts, maybe a bit more. And it was just getting up there and being slow and just not making it to the hole. So it was that one. So off the tee, it was very, very confident. And when I really caught it, so, normally I would assume about a 250 shot for me. And with that particular driver, I think I might have gotten one out to 240. The rest of them in my misses were in the 210 to 225 mark. So I'm all about this thing. And when you're playing a shorter course like that, you really don't need to overpower it. It's more about shot making. And if you could do that, and the funny part was my short irons were working way better than anything else. My club that I would assume to be 100, or my club that I assume to be 75, or any of those other clubs, I was hitting all those things probably a full club longer than I thought I should be. And I had that, you look, and there was that one that was a green with a bunch of shrubbery that was going along a creek bed. That was a par 3, and I was standing on the tee box, and it was a 170 shot, or 177 shot, and I just hit a really nice, easy 7-iron, and of course I found the sand trap that was guarding it from the side. It was a good thing it was there, otherwise I would have rolled into the bushes. But it was an easy 7, and man, oh man, I was just trying to feel the middle of the golf club, and unfortunately, I wasn't getting too many of those. I got a few, but not a lot, and so it's coming around. Happy that on a course I had no idea what I was doing, that I was able to pull that off. John Carter wants to know, how do I feel about oversized grip? Does it really make that much difference? Well, I just put my grips away from the last time we were talking about it. I like oversized grips if they fit. Now, hear me out. So when we talk about oversized grips, there's now 2 categories, right? You have your normal undersized, standard, oversized, or the mid-size, and then jumbo. And then on the other corner, you have the Jumbo Max, which their idea of a jumbo is bigger than the jumbo, and they get in these just super big, like holding the wrong end of a baseball bat kind of size. Now, in the normal category, if it fits, I'm all about it. Just, use an oversized grip and have a day with it, right? On the other ones, and Bob will contest about this. Now he has larger hands, but he uses the small in the oversize and absolutely just kills it. Okay, but they get really close to fitting as well. Pardon me. And now the oversized grips, from a fitter's point of view, if you have a touch of arthritis or joint pain or something like that, these oversized grips are a godsend. All right, they are just absolutely the thing you can do without having to squeeze down, and it also takes a lot of vibration out of the shot so that you feel good. Now, the last bit of this is, are they a game changer as far as I normally play a standard and I put a medium on there. Do they work? Well, they can. Okay. I've done some testing in here, and you either get one of two results. You rarely get both, and you either hit it further or you hit it more concise, meaning you hit it tighter. And when you go to large, now you don't need to go to extra large, but something maybe in the small or medium range. And I've seen people just absolutely come unglued with it. Now, that being said, there's also a special way of holding it. You don't put it in the fingers like you do here. You put it in here like that, and it makes it so much easier to, hold on a second, fellas. Here we go. There. My battery is about ready to die. But it makes for an easier swing. I guess that would be the way to do it. If you're interested in that, and I'm going to check my stuff here one more time. Here we go. One more thing here. There we go. Okay, we got it. If you're just interested in just thinking about it, just do one club. But do one of the clubs that you hit the most, not the least, because you're going to try it, right? So put it on your 7, your 8 iron, something along that, and go out and hit it and see what happens. And I think you'd be really surprised. But you don't want to go so big that it becomes, it gets in the way. What you want is something that feels comfortable but bigger. Now, Jumbo Max does have that chart that you can measure and it'll tell you what you're into, and it's pretty close, I'll say. It's not, like everything else, it depends, but that's probably one of the best uses of a chart. All right, hello. Here's a new name, Joshua Kurtzinger. All right. Live in Bardstown, playing my Kentucky home tomorrow and Wednesday. Love it. It's my favorite course. Bardstown is amazing. Hey, look at that. Live in Bardstown. Is it live in Bardstown or you live in Bardstown? I just like that place, man. That it just goes everywhere. We are a little bit outside, and I'm sure you know where I'm talking about. That Capitol Inn. It's right across from the train, from the dinner train. And if you keep going out that direction, you go around the backside, you get to the winery, and then you end up in the Lux Row area. And Lux Row's a really neat tour to begin with, to talk about as well. But there's so much there. It's just a neat little town. Hey, Joshua. Now we want you to come back, Joshua, and tell us on Monday how you did playing it tomorrow and Wednesday. Since you're telling us, we want to hear which tee boxes did you play from, and how did you shoot, and if they actually mowed the greens. Because again, I think if they get those greens going, that course plays a lot harder than it would have. All right. It says, what do you recommend for a portable launch monitor 500 and gives the decent stats at the practice range? Ooh. I'm familiar with, in that price range, dude. I am familiar with one. It's called the Oh, it's the Flight Scope one, but there's a Flight Scope and like a Flight Scope XL, and I'm trying to remember the name of it here real quick. Anyway, the first one, it's about the size of a very large credit card, and it'll sit behind you, and it gives you pretty decent numbers. I would go with that. If you're looking for, depends on what you're looking for as well. If you're looking for just club head speed, then it's called Radar Impact, and it's just a little bitty thing about this big for about 50, $60, but it has to be in front of you, in the front of your swing and catching your club coming up. I think that's a dangerous place for it to be, so I don't necessarily recommend it, but it's really good for baseballers and things like that. Um, Good gravy. I can't believe I don't know the one from Flight Scope that they just had. Anyway, the first one would be there, and then there's another one. Um, the second one that is like a portable version of that is um, it's like a tall, thin pretzel-looking one, and it's made by the same people that do range finders, and they do a pretty good job. They're both and they're all radar based, right? They're all radar based. Now I've seen somewhere there's apps on phones where you can and get it. I wouldn't trust that because it relies solely on pictures, and no, pictures can be good. Vivo, no, but you're close. What in the heck's the name of that thing? Where'd you pull it out of? Oh, okay. What is the name of that thing? That is just killing me that I don't know the Flight Scope one. Um, Anyway, the one and the other one is from the rangefinder group, but either one of those for under $500, you can't go wrong. It's going to give you the swing speed. You probably get, if it's radar based, you probably get some ball speed. In some cases, depending on where you have to orient it from the back on this other one, uh, it'll probably give you club head path, and then of course distance. Now, a lot of these cases, these Mevo, that's what it is. The Mevo and the Mevo Plus. Mrs. McGolf comes in for the score. The Mevo. Now, in both these cases, you can add on to it to upgrade the package a little bit more, but I'm talking about the basics. But that's the one I would go with. Robin says thumbs up. Happy Monday from Austin. Hoping everybody's staying cool. So, Phil K., how hot is it in Texas? We're having a competition here. So, how hot is it where you guys are at? I'm going to start. When I climbed the truck, it was 104, but as a whole, it was 99. So, I'm going to go with 100 to 99. What did you guys get? And Phil wants to know how you're feeling. So, how are you? Yeah. Getting better. I doubt I'll ever be great again, but I haven't played since March. Plan to start in July 1. Thanks for asking. Nicely done, dude. I'm glad everything turned out okay. How hot is it, though? I really want to know. I want to hear how ridiculously hot it is in Myrtle Beach, too. 4-man team for Peter. So did they draw you guys out of a bucket and say, well, the superheroes are in this bucket, so Peter got pulled out of that one. And then you got the superhero assistant and then all the other ones. How'd that work out? Hot Lombard. Okay, Jack, how hot is it, man? I want to hear it. Oh, Anna's home. Good night. Very good for you, Peter. So before she came home, I did the dishes, washed the clothes, clean and wash the floor. After her 24-hour flight, she redid everything I did. That's what happens when you clean just about hours before she shows up after being gone for that time. Isn't that the way it always is? That's just making sure, buddy. Oh, yeah, don't take it personally. Yeah, I bet she runs a tight ship. Glad she made it safe. You're right. I'm glad she did too. The Z. Hello all. Got to go to the U.S. Open in Oakmont. Ooh, he got to touch the fairway. I was allowed to cross. It didn't seem to be grass, more like carpeting. The greens were unbelievable. Yeah, I gotta say, Z, that was probably, I think that would rank in the upper 5 toughest U.S. Opens in the history of U.S. Opens. Some would probably argue the top three. Some of that place, man, oh man. When you have rough that comes up to about the middle of your shin, and then you have the greens are lightning fast because they're not getting any water. I mean, it's basically just a test. I mean, it's just a real test. And every once in a while, I don't want to see it all the time, but I do want to see it once in a while. It kind of makes them humble. And as you see the next day, they come back, and you can see the ones that are hungry and the ones that got messed up mentally in order to be able to get through it. And that's what I like to see, is how they recover. There's Hello Z. Sonic, what do you say, buddy? I probably asked for her, but do you believe tea material or shape makes any difference other than just durability? I do. Actually, I do. I do. There's now there is the right now my favorite is those zero frictions. Hold on. Great. I just dumped about 10 on my floor, but right now these are my favorites. These Victories from Zero Friction. Less resistance, more distance, optimum for the prong. So now let me explain why I like these, but this is what it looks like. I got a green tee with a green lights in the back. This ought to be good. But I like those. Now, why? I don't know. They just seem the air. The whole idea is when the club's coming into the ball, how much friction or how much is the tee getting in the way of you getting to the ball? Now, in all cases, you would think, well, it shouldn't have any because the ball's just so much bigger than the tee, and the face gets it, and it should be good. And I'd have a hard argument against it, right? It'd be hard to argue against it. Now, what I ran into was a group called it was a Firecracker tee, and there's a group out of Australia, and it was a tee that had 3 very large prongs with little balls on the end of it. And it said, everyone was making those claims, 5 yards longer, la da 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 da. And I was like, I challenged them. I said, okay, I got this channel. Let me test them out and let me see what happens. And it worked. Okay, it really worked. And there was a whole bunch. And they had said what the idea was is that the air cushion that the club is making allows you to help lift the ball out of the tee and getting it going. Yeah, that's a lot of propaganda, and it would be hard to how we say prove it, and unless you did, and all you could do is test against other tees. How would you say that air pressure would do it? I don't know if you could possibly. I'm sure there's a way to experiment and make that happen, but it was it was 3 to a set. And they weren't very expensive, and that was their downfall because they lasted forever. And they were really good only for drivers. They weren't good for anything else because they would stand up this much taller because of the prongs. Man, I thought those things were great. In fact, I think I still have one more, but I've kind of weaned myself off of them to get to these guys. And I kind of stumbled onto these guys. You're like, well, why don't I just get ones with 3? Well, it'd be really hard to hold the ball with something so small. And these guys tend to do it. I think how I stumbled onto them is Wilson sent me some that were these with their logos on them. I thought, man, I'm hitting off of this pretty decent. Now, is it a super duper game changer? If it gives you confidence, then yes. If it doesn't, because when I go digging in my bag, I go digging for those, and I've got a myriad of different tees. Find them on the tee range and all these other things. And I'll put them in the bag, and so I don't have to buy many of those. But if I'm buying them, those are what I'm buying. So Zero Friction. These are the Victory tees, but anything from the Zero Friction category. These are the 5-prong ones. And it says adds 5 yards. We'll see. So I did meet one group that was at the PGA show, and they were doing the same thing. And I believe it was the same group. And I would agree wholeheartedly. So hopefully I wore that particular subject matter out, but that's it. Now, as far as wooden or plastic, if you're an environmentalist, you're with wooden. If you're not, then you're with plastic just for the long usage because they are more sturdy. They just are. And I will say this, if you get on a tee box and you see a bunch of tees sticking in the damn ground, use a wedge, pick them out, and help those guys that are cutting that so that they can get a good cut and get their job done. You know, it's all about like fixing your divot. Pick up your doggone tee. Rapsodo. That's the one, my dog Rex. That's the one I was talking about. Rapsodo. You're absolutely correct. Those are the ones. That's the other one I would be checking out. James Geiger, what do you say, sir? Thinking about replacing my 5-iron with a 7 wood for higher flight, softer descent. I see a lot of pros are playing higher lofted woods. And your thoughts? I agree completely. I would agree completely. Not only if a 5-iron with a 7 wood, you might even try if you're a hybrid guy, then a hybrid. If you're a fairway wood guy, then the 7 wood. Now the 7 wood is a bit different in that it does have a very high a lie angle. It has a high lie angle, and it's very similar to maybe playing a hybrid. However, it has a shape that is more familiar to others, meaning that if you like a fairway wood, it's going to that shorter, rounder shape is where you want to be, versus the hybrid is going to look more like a Twinkie on a stick, you know, a little elongated. It might be off-putting to some people. It's all preference at that particular point. But in either case, it's the loft, right? The 21 to 22 degrees that gets you up in the air. And it's funny, it does get up in the air quite a bit higher than, in a lot of cases, than, say, a 5-irons now that are getting as strong as 27 is the standard, so 24. So even in being lower lofted, still get up in the air. So yeah, I'm there. I carry a 5-iron, and for the life of me, it's more ego driven than anything else. As you saw my gapping session, but I can carry a 5 hybrid, and I can hit it further in the air, but I spin it more. Right? Does this thing move? It did. Look at that. My camera's back to messing with me. There we go. Nope, it's moving again. See if I can stop this thing. I just turned it back on. There we go. So anyway, so yeah, it's easier to hit. It's a much more friendly thing. You don't have to kill it. It gets up in the air. It lands it softer. All the things you're talking about, I have no problems going with that. Not one iota. And Geiger, did you know that your last name is associated with Geiger Mueller, which is a radiation detection instrument? That's my old timey stuff coming back. There's Robin saying hello. Peter, no, you picked your own team. Oh, so you loaded yourself up there, Captain. Well done. 54, that's a pretty solid number. At least you didn't do something ridiculous like a 49 or something like that. That I'd had to throw the flag on you for that one. But 54, that's very respectable. Scott Gordon, what do you say, buddy? 68 in Idaho. Yeah. Mrs. McGough was saying that that there was snow up in that region. I was like, get out of here. Can you believe the difference? I wonder if that's what's following this heat wave. Oh, my God. They said there was right next to you that there was snow up in the mountains. Oh, my goodness gracious. 68 in Idaho. Is that a heat wave for you guys? Whew. 97 with humidity. Yeah, and it's like 7,942% humidity. It's just crazy how that works. Mevo. Yep, that's what we were talking about, Paul. Well done. Mevo and the Mevo Plus. So the Mevo is the smaller, where the Mevo Plus is a little bit. It's as tall, but it's a little wider. It has a few more gizmos in it, and you can upgrade programs to give you more information. So yeah, but they both do a very, very good job. Hello, Scott. Hello, Paul. Hello, Robin, right back. Peter says it's 95 and 95% humidity. Feels like 98. I bet it feels like more than that for me. Whoo-wee. PGR is inexpensive. Ball speed. Yeah, PGR is one from a budget conscious kind of thing. It's not bad. I'm still in favor of the Mevo and then the other one that we were talking about. Gee, many Christmas. I already forgot what the name of it is. Hold on. I am going to figure it out here in just a second. Somebody told me what it was. I'm going back. It starts with an R. I'm going to get it here in a minute. Rapsodo. That's the other one. Rapsodo. The reason why I would go with that, Phil, is just because it's easier just to get more stuff right away, right out of the box. Outside of that, All righty. Here we go. Chad Fett. Is it Fett or Fete? 98 and humid in Minnesota today is 80 and lower humidity. Well, good for you. I'm glad somebody's getting a little relief. We're not going to see that until sometime around Monday. Holy moly. And again, you know what? And it happened to me way back in the day. I ended up getting some heat frustration. I call it frustration, but it wasn't exhaustion, but I was real close to it. We were at a high school reunion and I was walking and it was hot and I was like, oh my God. And a buddy of mine said, hey, jump in the cart. And for the last 3 or 4 holes we played, and all I remember is swinging. I don't even remember hitting the ball. David Smith threw us $2. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. If you got a question, buddy, let us know what's going on. I appreciate that. Any little bit helps. It's in the 90s all week. With the winds you're blowing, it's more than ever, so it helps. Okay. I would have figured down in Texas, I was fully expecting something in the high 90s or the hundreds with Texas. Lawrence, what do you say, sir? How you been, man? David says B. I think we got him typing. Maybe he's had one too many of these things. BIS. I don't know. We'll have to see. Get back with me, buddy. And thank you. Welcome to summer season, everyone. No doubt, right? And just in time for 4th of July. So, again, if you guys got family coming over, I'm here to tell you, man, an outdoor fan will be the rage, particularly ones that have those little misters in the front. Just 1 or 2 of those, you'd be surprised what a difference it makes. Now, I am going to be proud. We're going to see how it works out this year. In that, look at that thing moving around on me again. Let's see if I can make it happen. Nope, not yet. I'll try this side then. One of these ways is supposed to stop it. Anyway, we screened in our back porch, and I have 4 ceiling fans in there now, and it never sees a whole lot of sun except for in the very morning. After that, it's all shade, but it's collected the heat, and the ceiling fans have been very good to dissipate it. But there's no getting around, 1,000% humidity and that kind of stuff. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Jed Flores, a new follower from SD, California. Oh, San Diego. Well done, bud. Well, nicely. Hopefully, I've been in San Diego. I went by San Diego. We actually stopped in San Diego when I was in the Navy. That place was really nice. Now I'll say it was many years ago. Super duper clean. It was a very nice place to visit. Actually got to see a Padres game. That'll tell you how far back it was. And it was kind of funny. We were in and amongst a bunch of Mexicans because the player the pitcher, and forgive me for not knowing the guy's name, but he was the guy that would take the pitch and would totally rotate backwards and turn around and pitch it. And he was just such a really good little pitcher. But man, the Mexican community just absolutely loved that guy. or the Hispanic community. They just absolutely love that guy. And he was a really good pitcher. And we had the greatest time out there with hanging around with all these guys. It was a blast. And, but yeah, San Diego, very cool. Well done. And thanks for joining. The Geiger counter. Yeah. All my buddies call me that. Love my Ping 5 with the Geiger counter. That's just the basic version of it. I could get nerdy on you and tell you all about Geiger Mueller and the whole 9 yards, blah, blah, blah. It was something you had to do when you got certified by the National Registry. But yeah, and the funny part is they're still used to this day. So well done. Love my Ping 5 wood. I'm definitely going to get me a Ping 7 wood. Love the low profile and the Ping fairways. Now, I tell you what, back in the day, they were hard to beat, right? And I had some of the original Ping eyes where they were wooden. And I'm here to tell you, it was hard to pry them out of the bag. They actually hit further than some of their metal counterparts. And that was almost by design, really. But yeah, Ping doesn't get a lot of credit for that. But yeah, if you like their 5, the 7 is right behind it. I wouldn't have any problems with that. Hello, MM and Jet. Time for slushies. Ho, 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 ho. Look at that. You guys have heard it here first. She says she wants them. We have a slushy machine. So maybe next time around, we'll have to pull out a slushie for you guys, and we'll put it in one of these. That has an interesting play on it. Well, 4th of July, I guarantee you some of that's happening. So we'll see. We'll be experimenting. Lawrence is doing okay over here in Jersey, just waiting for the heat to clear to hit the course, strumming the old guitar until it does. Okay, very cool. That's probably the smartest, Lawrence, that's probably the smartest play of all of us, because I'm sure we're all going to want to get out there and try and beat that heat in the whole 9 yards. Now, I will say this, that if you're going to go out and play, if you guys have ever had the chance to play them, and I played long ago when we had another heat wave come through, have you ever had those things called cooling towels, where you dip them in water and you just wring them out and they stay cool and you just put them around your neck? Those things work, all right? And it's all about at least telling the body that you think that you're cool. And if you find a cooling towel, right, you get 1 or 2 of those things and just rotate them around. I'm here to tell you it makes a huge difference. And I'm not a guy that does the heat very, very well, but if you have one of those, I can go out and play, put it on, do your swing, take it off, put it back on. And those, if you have a golf cart that's got the cooler on the side, and just have them put ice in it, just dump it in that thing, rinse it out and put it back on. You're good for several holes. That I would recommend those highly. And they really, for those guys that are into cars, they're really, really close to what a chamois does. There's Lawrence saying hello. Jared Jones, what do you say? Hope everyone's AC is working okay with this weather. Well, ours is not. We got the zone thing, and it wants to jump out of its settings every once in a while. And our upstairs where we live, it was set to 78, so it got to 80. So we went and set it back down. Hopefully, by the time I get done with this, it's at least into the mid 70s, because at night it'll get really cool. You're welcome, sir. Dale Drury. Hey, buddy, that's pretty cool. I have a Cobra Aerojet 7-iron with a 350 hosel. I'd like to put a graphite shaft in it from a 370 head. Can this be done? Only in certain cases, Dale, and only in certain cases. And we've talked about this on here a couple of times. So what happens is if you look at the tip of the graphite, and some people will tell you it's okay and some will not. It's all about the amount of meat that's at the end of the tip. All right. If you have, we'll use my golf tee as an example. If you have the end of the tip, the opening at the end of the tip is very, very small. It looks like something like that. Okay. It's very, very teeny weeny. It's very, very small, because let's say it's a decent shaft. It's kind of for that guy with the late release, and it's got a lot of meat at the end. then certainly you can without getting rid of the way that it would work or not. However, if you get to where the end of the thing is as big around as the whole thing, so it would be, the hole is very, very large and the amount of material is very low. Those are typically found in lightweight shafts. So about 60 gram, 50 gram, 40 gram, the end of that hole is going to be bigger than the diameter or the width of the outside of the ring of that tip is going to be. In that particular case, I would say no, okay, because then you will compromise the integrity of the tip, all right? And even the shaft manufacturers will tell you the very same thing. And that's what you want to avoid is that, right? You want to avoid that. And so that's where we want to go. That's where you want to, you got to make that kind of game call. But so if you have a lot of meat on it, then yes, because you only have to taper the first, say, 3/8 to a half of an inch, because it'll go like this, and then it straightens itself out, and then you should be able to get it in there. So you should be good to go. Now, the stuff that was in the old Aerojets were ultralight stuff. It had very, very large openings at the tip, and I would not taper those. But if you're going to put something else in, then surely enough, I would. Good golf guy. Okay, that's a good one. Are you part of the good clan or not? I really want to get into graphite shafts for my irons. I need stiff and really heavy. Do you have any recommendations? I got all kinds, dude. It depends on how heavy you want to get. Now, we really have to be concerned about what heavy means. All right. When you get into, just like when you get into steel, as you get lighter, the flexibility gets kind of wonky, right? At that 95 grams is pretty much about the end of steel to where they're very, very reliable. Now, Nippon does a very good job in the 850 and the 750s, 80 and 70 grams, but I will say that the butt section is very soft, and it's not for somebody that's an aggressive swinger, okay? And that's just what it is. Now, it's just the opposite for graphite. As you starting adding more weight, i.e. more material, it becomes stiffer and more brutish, we'll say. The whole profile becomes more stiff. So you have to know that going into it. A 95-gram shaft in graphite is going to play way more stiff than a 95-gram in steel. Okay. Now, there are some out there. There's the one that's readily accessible to, say, you guys, KBS. They go to, I believe they get up into the 100 or the 110, and in their tour and or the TGI with a T or PGI with a P, and they can get up into there. Now, I will say Acra and their TZ lineup, they go up to 115. And I'm here to tell you, brother, if you can swing that one and you really want to bring it around, that'll do it, right? That one is that is for a player, right? It's for a player. I've played the 95s, and I was very successful in playing them, and that was about as far as I could go with them. Now I got one more, I think. I thought my iSeries went higher than 95. They don't. Yeah, 95. Now they have a 95 that is what they call ICWT, which is a constant weight taper. In fact, that would probably be good for you, Dale, if you're looking at the Aerojet, the Acra iSeries ICWT 95. That would just fit right in. But if good golf guy was looking for graphite and you need really heavy, the ones that I know of right on the top of my head, that one is the Acra TZ and the 115. Now, normally those come from club makers, so you're going to have and it is a premium club. It's not like exotic, but it is a premium shaft, and it is very good, made in Japan. Hello. Here we go. Cooling tower. Yeah, here we go. Dale is all into it, using huh, cooling towels often here in Central California. Yes, and they work. I'm down with that, man. That I'm telling you what, we used to sell them here, and they just went out of vogue, so it wasn't really worth carrying them anymore. Cooling tower, great idea. My dad uses one. He works in the garden. Yeah, same idea, bud. And it literally is. It's the same idea, and you can put it around there as you're driving from hole to hole to cool you down, stay out of the sun. At one point, I had two. We were playing. It was like 105 out, and it was just like everybody was melting. And I put one over. I took my hat off and put one over my head and one around my neck, and they were making all kinds of fun of me. But you know what? When it come to hole 14 through 18, I was still playing golf, and the rest of these guys were looking at oases. All right, Mike Del Vesco, what do you say, man? Have an old set of Ping I-125 irons that I am trying to put together for a family friend who is disabled vet. Oh, okay, well done. 8-iron shaft, totally rusted. What size tip and shaft would I need to replace it? You're asking me too quickly here. It's an I series, so it's not a G one. So an I series. So I'm trying. The reason why I stopped there for a minute, Mike, is because there was a time where it was just a straight fit, and Ping somewhere in there made a change where you could almost put you could put a 370 in it with their particular centering ferrule. And if you didn't use the centering ferrule, what you did is you got the 355 tip, and it came with a little a tip. Well, I call it a tip cork. It's a tip cap, and it to take up that space at the bottom with a ferrule that had the big shoulder in it. And I'm trying to figure out if it was the I-25s that did that or if it was after. It seems like an older number. So here's what I would say. The tips. I would work on the idea that it's a 355, and if you get it in there and it wiggles a lot, then use a shim, okay, and put it in there. Either way works just fine. But that's how it's right on the ragged edge of being where that design changed, and it's more like the Ping and the PXGs use that same concept. But I would go with the 355 right at the top of my head. Good. Okay, good guy. Get a fit with your golf clubs, and you know what graphite shaft fits the best for you. Well, that's true, to be sure. Yeah, I know, but I was seeing what he likes best. Yep. That because when you're talking about really heavy, you're at a kind of a disadvantage because there's really not a lot out there, right? And it depends on what it means. Really heavy to you is a lot different than really heavy to me. Now, I will also say that, and the other part is in this that they're weighted differently. That my 95 was weighted head heavy, meaning that, and unlike a counterbalance shaft, this was a tip balance shaft, meaning that I could make it shorter and it would come in heavier. So if you're looking for something that had a lot more head weight with that, you could possibly get away with going with a lighter shaft and still getting that swing weight that you were looking for. That's the other part of this. We can talk a little swing weight with this guy right here. So this is a standard issue Mizuno head, and they're not known for making a heavy head. 70-gram driver shaft with an undersized grip. All right, so we know undersized grips are going to be a little bit lighter at 44.5 inches. What do we think the swing weight is? And why do we think it's important? What do we think the swing weight was on a 44.5-inch driver? That's a full inch shorter. What do you think? Dale says it's a PGI 75R shaft. Yeah, so the PGIs weren't known for being taper tip in the lower end. They were more of the 370s. Yep. You're more than welcome, sir. I know. Louis Tiant. That's the one. Louis Tiant. You are the man, Phil K. Louis Tiant. I can remember watching him play, and he had that move, and it freaked out. When he first did that, it freaked out folks. They thought, what is he doing? And he would just throw that ball and just freak out people. And then when they realized what he was doing, then he actually started being one heck of a ball placer in the zone. So he's one heck of a ball player. I give that guy a nod. There, see Rowdy, Robin, and Jim from good old St. Louis. 96 is not too hot or not too bad, but the dew is 80%. Feels like the air is sticking to your skin. Hey, at least the ball goes further. Yeah, RS, I always said it was like putting on a wool coat out in the middle of. You could have been, putting your shorts on and then go out and put a wool coat on because it just feels awful. Good. No, come on, man. Like your golf shirt, what brand is it? It's Callaway. CallawayApparel.com. I like these things. Now, the reason why I like them is not only the pattern is really cool, right? This is what I call my drinking golf shirt. But what I really like about it is this. It's a really thin layer underneath. So one thing I really hate is your golf shirts. You can feel the fabric rubbing up against your skin, and it almost feels like, for me, it feels like a cheese grater. And when I put that on there, it's very smooth and it moves, and it's part of what they call their OptiDry technology. And so what it wants to do is wick a lot of the moisture away from you. Now, if you sweat like a hog like I do, it doesn't matter. But in this particular instance, when it's all wet, all I have to do is go like this, and it's off me, and I can make a move. But a Callaway apparel. And right now, I imagine they're getting ready to the 4th of July sale, and you probably get some really good buys. And they do run a bit, I would say they run just a hair big. And for those of you guys that like extra longs, or the tall, I get 2 XLTs, and these things fit me all day. There's Michael Moody. Okay, what is the temperature up north, man? Let us know. There we go. Thank you for all the information. That's exactly what I was looking for. I'm glad to hear it, man. Make sure you hit that like button, and if you like this part of it, pars and pours. All right, my guess is the Fujikura Axon 105 X shaft adds swing weight and counterbalance weights on top of the golf club, make it a half-inch long, and describe really heavy. Yeah, man, come on, man, you know better than that. Now, I will say the Axiom shaft is really nice, right? It is a very nice, very stout shaft. 105, I would not consider to be very heavy. Now, if you make it a half-inch long and you go to counterbalance it, so this is where we're going to get. This is where we're going to get really weird about it. For me, the number one parameter in a golf club is actually its length. Length is equal to consistency. Okay, and you can make things longer and hit a little bit further. You sure can, but you can hit them a lot further offline as well. And I can tell you what, that's the very first thing I test for in every particular club. Is length, and I'm looking for consistency. Whether you hit a consistent fade or consistent draw, it matters not. It's about where you're hitting that golf club and how I can get you into the middle so you can do it better. And then we can start doing all that weight that you're talking about. If you need a little bit at the bottom or need a little bit at the top or a little bit of both. I tend not to do that because my second parameter I like best of all is total weight. It's the total weight of the golf club, not necessarily the swing weight. Swing weight is important to be sure, but in my opinion, its total weight is more important because it's like the idea of swinging a wooden-handled axe or a fiberglass-handled axe. Which one would you prefer if you had all day to do it? And then so we can do it. But that's I hate adding length just for the sake of making something heavier. Build it to the correct spec and then adjust from there. And that's the thing. So, and again, 44.5 inches, undersized grip, standard this, but a 70-gram shaft. What do we think that the swing weight came out to? You'd be surprised. And I think it's awesome, too, what happened to it. Which shaft is stiffer? Because I swing really hard, 126 mile an hour to 130 with a driver. Holy cow, dude. Wow. If you're doing that and you swing really hard, then it's the TZ all day long. That is made for a guy like you. The only other one that, if you wanted to go to graphite, is the TGI would come a close second. But if you're looking at 115, you want something that's going to stay with you all day long. All day long, that 115 is that. And it comes with enough tip section that you could actually make it a little stiffer if you wanted to, for sure. For sure. Now, the other part about the TZ that I like here, I'm going to call you the G Quad, is that it's also going to feel a lot heavier at the head section of it, but it's also got a section of it that you can trim and make a little stiffer, and it is ion plated, so it looks like a steel shaft. So your buddies would not have the first clue. Fact, let's see. This is what it looks like for real. Now, I know I'm in the dark, but you see how it looks like a steel shaft? It just looks like a rifle steel. And that's graphite. This one happens to be the 75 gram, but there you go. It's pretty cool, isn't it? And I guarantee you when you pull it out, they go, hey, that's a nice steel shaft. And if you're looking for that vibration reduction, the graphite will still do it. So there you go. And Robin says it's Callaway. Yep. RSG, it's a Callaway shirt. Look at her go. You dress him well. No doubt. Sometimes she fights it on me. She is my fashion police. I will say that. Michael Moody. You know what? We're missing, you know who we're missing today? We're missing both our top two contenders out there. Wonder where they're at. Frank Samara of San Diego's pitcher. No, it was the other one. It was Louis Tiant. That was for sure. That was the man right there. But Frank, man, that was cool. I had, you know, back in the day when collecting baseball cards was cool, and as a kid, I had if you guys remember, they made a San Diego Padres, when they became San Diego Padres, they made a mistake set of cards, and I had 10 of them, and knew in full well they were mistakes, and I put them it was funny, I put them in a whiskey box because it fit them perfectly, and I closed them up and I put them in the rafters in my mom and dad's garage. And I joined the Navy and I came back and I'm like, man, I'm going to make a mint on these things because baseball cards were all the rage. And I said, where's that red box at, Mom? She says, oh, I put it in a garage sale. I said, how much did you sell it for, Mom? She said, $25 for the whole box. I'm like, well, she says, why? I said, well, you lost probably about $700 to $1,000. She said, what? And I said, that's the reason why you don't sell my stuff, Mom. But so that's been so long I can't even worry about it anymore. But yeah, that was it. So the only thing I got left now is I got some Days of Thunder stuff, but that's about it. RSG, he orders Callaway on his own, but he shows me what he picks out. Yep. 355. Look at me go. Just right off the top of my head. Hello, Robin. Long time. Great to hear you guys. Like to see you too, Michael. That's now that you guys are probably able to hit a bunch of golf balls, are you making the best of it up there? Thoughts on steadfast shafts and others like it? They make big claims. I have no idea what steadfast is. I've not heard of them. Now, if you're talking about like the Newton shaft, there's a lot of promos going on there. They've made a big, they made a big splash within the senior section. They've not really broken into the PGA section, although they have some stiff shafts. I've tried to get them to send me one, but I'm just not having any luck. Look at that. Been working at the golf course on Mondays. Well, look at you go. Very cool. D4. Chad says C8. Well, it's right. It's right in the middle, you guys. It ended up being D2. Isn't that the craziest thing? D2. That's really cool. Ari Wilson. I have a no-name parallel tip graphite shaft, which I want to use to build a set of iron heads. No trimming chart. Any advice to someone working the trimming out? Tough question. Sorry. Well, so A. Wilson. So here's the thing. If you had a frequency machine, it would be a no-brainer. What you would do is you would just take your 3-iron or your 4-iron, your 5-iron, whatever it is, and start with 0 tipping and just see what you get at a prescribed length. I'm assuming that you don't have that. So 99% of all the tip trim codes out there start at a 3-iron, okay? And that's with 0 tip trimming and 1/2 of an inch for every shaft that there is, or for every head. So it'd be 1/2 an inch for a 4, an inch for a 5, 1.5 inches for a 6, and so on. Now, I would also look at, before you go do these no names, and if they got no name on them, chances are that's what it is. But you want to get a good estimate of what tip section that you've got. All right. If you've got a 6-inch tip section or a 4-inch tip section, and you'll be able to see it. It'll go like this, and then it'll automatically start getting bigger. If you're 4 inches or under, I would not tip trim anything. I would tip trim in 1/4-inch increments, just for the fact of tip trimming. And if it was 6 inches or around that area, then 1/2 inch. Because the idea is you got to have an inch to 1.25 inches of insertion in there and have the shaft acting like it's supposed to. So I would go with that. Are you sure that Fernando Valenzuela, he was Mexican, where Tion, I think, was Cuban? Well, yeah. No, but Fernando Valenzuela was really cool too, but Luis Tiant was the guy that had the move. And I remember Fernando Valenzuela as well. He was another great pitcher. Those two, good God, they were awesome. What's your take on the rack irons? Carmen, the rack irons actually in their first series of their models were really good. Right, there was I won't say their first foray, but one of their forays into almost a forged iron concept. And I'll fully admit it. I'm wearing a Callaway shirt. I am not a TaylorMade guy, but the racks were really nice. They were very much a player's club. I believe most of them were forged. Now, the thing you got to worry about with racks is that the top of the hosel had this funky shoulder on it. Instead of a shoulder that was in, it was a shoulder, it was an outie instead of an innie, and that you had to get a specific rack ferrule that went over the top of it, because it was like, most ferrules, they would just go up and they would go over and then the shaft would go in. Well, in this particular go up, it would go over and then it would go up in more, and you would have this shoulder sticking up out of the hosel, and they had a ferrule that was specifically designed that would click over top of it, and that was what held it on. That's what made the racks kind of unique. But yeah, some of those designs are very, very likable by what I would call a player's club. Oh my! The fan's hitting me. And Robin's saying, hello. Robin's saying, please hit that like button before you go. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that one. The rack is one of the best cast. Oh, it was a cast. Okay. I guess they were around 2010. 95 degrees right now. Oh, my God. 95 degrees up there. You guys are melting. I bet you guys are wishing you had air conditioning. Wow. Yeah, they were in that 2000. That's about right. 2010. That was a good one. I thought they were forged, though. My name's Tyler laughing. There we go. Right in there with it. All right. I had a really high ball. Will that help with that? That, you know what? That is a good question. That is a good question. And like everything in Tyler, like everything in golf, the real answer is it depends. Okay. Uh, in tradition would say that if you had something heavy, it would hold it, and it would hold, and it would have a heavy or a lower ball flight in order for you to get through. The only real problem with that is that you have to. The other side of that coin is if it was very very heavy and you were swinging through and it was causing you to cast. Okay, and it was causing you to cast. That could also be in that particular one. Whereas if it was lighter, you could have control of it and hold on to it and have that lag and hit that lower, more penetrating ball flight. But if you're in the 126 range, brother, you're in rarefied air. Okay, you're in that place where you need something that is going to stay with you, particularly if you're an aggressive swinger. And that's probably the reason why you hit it. If you hit anything normal, you just got a regular X flex, right? I could see, and at just any kind of X flex, I can see you hitting a high ball flight because hard and with that extra swing speed, because you're like in that XX range, if not even higher, right? XXX range, that you're causing that shaft to kick a little bit early into it, and that's where you're getting that high ball flight. Now you can not that you would need it, you could jack the loft down a little bit, but then you just hit the damn thing out of sight. And even if playing from the tips with that kind of swing speed, unless you're hitting some par fives that are 550, 600 yards, I mean, your upper end irons are probably not coming into play very often. But yeah, I would think that these Acra TZs, and I would actually probably tip them maybe just a half, quarter inch, maybe a little bit more on that, and let you get after them, and you would probably hit them pretty good. You'd be surprised. Those things are pretty stout. They'd probably help you out pretty good. 69, Jet says, holy cow. Man, I'd love to be that. We'd be outside sitting here sipping on a cold one, or a warm one, as a matter of fact. John Lamb, hope everyone is well and smacking them high and far. Well, we hope so too. What we got here? Here's a couple of them. Romy Rida. Okay, must have been at the tail end of Tion's career after playing with the Boston Red Sox. That's the one. I tell you what, that dude was. I mean, the whole stadium was just electric when we were there. It was it was so much fun to watch, and they were playing the Dodgers of all places. And it was just something else. It was just a really good game. That was when I was totally into baseball. And, man, we went there, and it was a great, great time. There it is. Jesse Ross right on the money, D2. John Lamb, XLR RTs, looking to put them into a set of 770s, 4-through pitch. Any thoughts on the shaft other than the 350 Oswald? No, John. Actually, I did a test of those way back when. If you look, I think I did the wedge shaft. The idea of the wedge shaft, it was supposed to give you more spin and more height. It gave me more height. I didn't see more spin. And that was Robin Arthur's whole thing about it, is that, it was way big at the grip section, and they got really small. I would stay true to the trim code and put them in, but no. And I believe there's a bunch of meat at the bottom, so tapering them down, you shouldn't have a problem with that. You're welcome, sir. No problem. You guys staying cool these days? Oh yeah, I got a fan blowing on me from 10 foot away. Hopefully you guys can't hear it. CRC Outdoors. Got a bunch of first timers. Welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard. Appreciate it. First timer, I have a question. I've noticed that the hosel crown piece on my driver slipped. Can it be fixed, or does it need to be totally replaced? Oh, well, unfortunately, outdoors, it's going to have to be replaced. Now, I will tell you this. If you look at this one, I think this one has it. We'll see. Well, no, this one doesn't have it. This is a full piece. Typically, when you're talking about crowns, and I used to have a crown here. Hey, look, it didn't move. So what we're talking about, CRC, is typically a crown piece. It's basically a plate that's like this, and it sits on a ledge that normally starts like right about here. All right, and the biggest perpetrators of these designs was Callaway and TaylorMade. They were the two biggest. There were others, but that's how it started. So what you would do is they would have the face would be made such that it would come up to this part of it and have a ledge, and that piece would sit on top of there, and then it would weld along here and glue along there. And if you that's twice I've done that. And if you see it slipping, that means the adhesive is let go. And you think, oh yeah, I just need to put that same adhesive in. Well, it's a different adhesive than gluing a club in. So it's basically given out. So hopefully it's within warranty and you can send it back and get a new one. If it's within a couple of years, you still may be able to do that. So I would certainly engage those people and see if whether or not they can hook you up. But outside of that, yeah, you're pretty much going to be done. Thanks, John. I'll take this over the snow. I don't know about that. There we go. Good. Smash that like button. I smashed the like button with my driver. Very good. Well, hopefully everything's in one piece. Said thanks. Great information. Thank you. Have a great week. No problem, fellas. Again, I'm going to put in this one more plug for my other channel. If you would, go over that Pars and Pours and look for me, and let's add to that subscriber count. We'll start talking more golf and whiskey together. Jesse S925 has been thinking about the high launches. What do you think? So, Jesse, as the swing gets slower, the high launches get better. All right, if your swing speed is in that with an iron, we'll say about 70-ish miles an hour or lower, the high launches will be a big deal. Okay, they will certainly be a big deal, and they will add more distance. It's counterintuitive, but that's what happens. You make it weaker so that they get up in the air further and they fly further, and without a tremendous amount of add and spend. I didn't believe them when they told me, but when we checked them out, that's what happened. All righty. John Lamb says, well, with golfer's elbow, I put the TZ85s in my 790s, and I'm looking for a different shaft for the P70s. Now, the TZ85s, I'm telling you what, they're a stiff kind of shaft. But even with that, though, if you're looking for something, John, that is a little bit more forgiving, the TZs, even in the lower end, they're unless you're a massively late releaser of the ball, it's probably going to feel pretty stiff. In that particular realm, the PGI with the P from KBS is a good one, right? They do a very good job. Another one that would be, what's another one? There is another one out there. Give me a second. See, they got the Axioms and they also have the MMTs. Those are probably a little bit better feeling versions of TZs. They get a little bit more snap into them, and you can do that. Drink, but I smoke. Well, there you go. We'll make a trade-off. Your take on Callaway Big Bertha 2006 irons. Carmen, they are the 2006. Honestly, the 2006, so that would be, what are we talking about? They didn't make any in 2020. 2006, holy cow. We're talking a 20-year-old iron. Big Berthas. So those are probably they're probably bore-throughs, and if they weren't, they were the fake bore-throughs. They were made to be massively forgiving like the newer models were, they didn't have the big monster soles on the bottom like the current models did or the last model did. They had a bunch of offset with a monster thick top line and a big old cavity. They probably came with that standard Memphis 10 stuff that was in them if they had steel, but if they had graphite, probably the RCH stuff. I'm not a fan of the RCH stuff because their quality assurance wasn't very good. But that you're really going back in time, man. It's hard to tell why you would. My take on them would be they're probably still a pretty good club, but in comparison to the newer models, say the 2022, 21 models, you're probably going to lose about a club to a club and a half's distance and the forgiveness. But that club is going to look more like a golf club, where the other one is going to look more sci-fi. The newer one looks more sci-fi-ish, and that's the way I would go with it. But if you put a different shaft in, you might be there. John says TZs I have are about a half a club more distance and nice flight. Well, there you go. Then why are you looking for more stuff, bud? That's awesome. All right, CRC want to know about where it's completely wrong. On my vintage shaft on the ferrule on the top of my adapter moved. Any reason why? That would be different. So there's several reasons why, and so let me go back here real quick. Oh, okay. All right. So you're talking about a driver now. So if the vintage shaft ferrule on top of the driver and TaylorMade had moved up, any reasons why? Well, there's several. Number one is you had it in the back of your car and your car got hot and the ferrule is made out of plastic and it just expanded and it moved. That's number one. Number two is it's sitting in the back of your car. It got really hot and you went to swing it and the head's starting to push off of it and the ferrule stayed in the same spot. Okay, those are the two more likely scenarios that happens. The third one is, and as much as I hate to say anything about it, is that the assembly was poor and they didn't put a drop of glue in there to keep it in place, and that's the end of it. So what I would look, number one, to tell you where you're at in your situation is put your grip down and hold on to it like you would hold on your grip and look down and make sure that your club is sitting square. If it's closed or open, that means that it's given way in the hosel. You stop what you're doing, take it to somebody who knows what they're doing, and have it removed, fixed up, and re-glued, and then you'll be fine. If it's in the same shot, in the place that you believe it needs to be, then measure the length. And if you can measure the length and it comes out, in most TaylorMades, it's either 44.5 or 46. And make sure it's in one of those numbers. If it's above it, it could also mean that it's sliding out. Again, have it taken off and re-glued. If it's in the same, then it might be just the fact that the ferrule slipped, and every once in a while they do that. And the best thing that you could do at that point in time is, what I like to do is I put it into a vise, and I put it into a vise right up to the edge of the ferrule like this, and I clamp it in just ever so slightly, and I push the head that way and let the ferrule slide onto the head. And if it does, then you're golden. And if it comes back off, you know what to do. And then the second time around, put just the one drop of Gorilla Glue on there and push it on so it doesn't come back off. But those are the three things that I would look at. Rami says, my sister's playing golf for the first time, and we're playing 18 holes, par 3. Love that idea, dude. Par 3s are awesome. In Long Beach, she nor I know our yardages between clubs, even though she's practiced at a driving range. Well, if you've been practicing at a driving range, you at least have a little bit of a concept. And, hey, take a few swings and just see, right? If you, let's say you take out a 7-iron and you're at a 150-yard par 3 and you land short. And if you have the time, throw down another one, see if it goes the same distance. It's assuming that you hit it well. If it's a little shorter, then you know that your 7-iron is a little bit shorter, whatever that is, to that 150 mark, and you can gauge it from there and add just 10 yards up and 10 yards down, and just use that as a a guide until you played a little bit more, and then you can go from there. Be perfect. Yeah, you guys, the biggest thing, Rami, is just to make sure you have fun, right? You're at a par 3. None of you guys have really practiced if you're beginning golfers, and the idea here is to have fun. I will give you a little bit of advice, though. Even at par 3s, as a rule of etiquette, when you get to double par, and you're not on the green, just pick it up and go to the next one. If you're on the green, 3-putt and pick it up, or 4-putt and pick it up and move on. The idea is keeping pace of play, okay? Pace of play. And double par is pretty much is a prescribed number so that you can keep pace of play. You're still getting your swings in, and you can go in there. Or you can take it when you get to like 1 or 2 shy of double par, pick the ball up, put it on the green, and try and putt it twice and call it even. You're out there to have fun and see if you like golf. And you're never going to, and it becomes brutal when you're hitting 5, 6, 7, 8 shots on a par 3. And the fun factor goes away. Just pick it up and push it out there and see what happens. The idea is to want to come back, not to be feeling like somebody just beat you in the head with a sledgehammer. Looking for more stuff because I am a club junkie. I have a set of TaylorMade Tour Preferred irons, burner, R11, still take them out in the world once in a while. You go, club junkie. Nothing wrong with that, man. There you go. 81 years, I think, go to senior shaft. I could go from a senior to a regular? Well, sure. The senior to shaft regulars are really dependent upon how you swing, Jesse. You could probably go up and not see a big difference. I wouldn't see that bad. Good says, or G Quad. We're calling him G Quad now. We've given him a road name. My grandparents used to own a par 3 golf course, so I'm thankful to learn on one. Yeah, I think those things they have their place, right? They really, really do. They have their place. Now, and it's not just for beginners, right? I've seen executive par 3s that will test your skill set. And so it can also be for beginners, but it also can be for people that are working on short game or, got to hit irons just so, and it'll really be a tester. So that's cool. Par 3. Yeah. We're there. All right, fellas, I made it past 7 o'clock talking, and we didn't even have Charlie or Matt in here. Man, that's just something else. We had Kent from the other side, but we had a whole bunch of new folks. So we saw Peter doing really, really well. We got John and Mr. Cherry in there as usuals. But, man, oh, man, look at that. And Sonic showed up. And, we just had a whole bunch of new folks. And we got to thank Dave Smith for the extra $2. I mean, hey, we'll take that all day long. That's never going to hurt anything, right? That's just in the beginning. We'll call that my poor fund. Ha, ha, ha. All righty. So, again, hey, watch out for this week. We're going to put out a video, I'm sure, of something on either one of the channels. And we'll be back again next Monday. It'll be just before the holiday weekend or the holiday week. So we'll talk about 4th of July stuff. I think that'll be grand. And, guys, as usual, thank you so much for joining me and asking me golf questions. And let's see your scores. Go low.